Do you ever stop and think about the food you eat? What about the milk you pour on your cereal in the morning, or the piece of cheese you put in your lunch sandwich? Most of us do not think much about it. But what if that food has a secret story? What if the cheese you just bought was rejected by other countries? The American dairy industry has long been a symbol of the nation's strength in agriculture. It was famous around the world. But recently, something has changed. The industry is facing a serious decline. In just 2 years, a very large amount, about 90% of its milk exports have vanished. Loyal customers from other countries are refusing to buy American dairy products. This is not because of a problem with the weather or a shortage of cows. The reasons are connected to government policies and choices about quality. At the same time, a different story is happening in the North. Canada, the neighbor of the United States, is quietly becoming a new power in the global milk market. They did not need big campaigns or loud advertisements. They simply focused on producing milk that is clean, stable, and reliable. Because of this, more countries trust and buy Canadian milk. Canada is growing its market share at a fast rate. This is not just a story about milk and cheese. It is a story about trust. It shows that quality can be more powerful than a loud voice. It is also about how government rules can change an entire industry. We must ask, how did this situation happen? What caused the great American dairy industry to lose so much business? And what can we learn from Canada's quiet success? This book will explore these questions to understand what this change means for our future. 2. The Border Wall. It is a warm morning in July at the border between the U.S. and Canada. Dozens of large trucks are in a long line. The sound of their engines is quiet. Inside the trucks, there is fresh American milk and cheese. The drivers wait to get permission to cross into Canada. They look at the checkpoint and think it will be a normal day. They do not know that a big change is coming. Suddenly, things stop. A cold notification appears. It says, "Quota exceeded. 300% tariff applied." A tariff is a tax on things from other countries. The drivers and their companies are in shock. Canada has a special system for dairy products. They allow a certain amount of American milk and cheese to enter the country with a very low tax. This amount is called the quota. But on this day, the American trucks have more than the quota. For anything over that amount, the tax is now 300%. The American drivers are confused and worried. Nobody gave them a warning. There was no news on television and no official announcement. They just have to turn their trucks around. In just 2 days, almost all of the American milk and cheese is rejected at the border. The reason is not bad quality or wrong papers. The reason is the new, huge tax. This tax is like an invisible wall. It is not made of bricks or wire, so you cannot see it. But it is very real and very strong. It stops the trade completely. Canada is using its trade rules quietly but very firmly. They do not hold a big press conference. They just apply the rule. This new wall creates immediate economic damage. It is a disaster for the American companies trying to sell their products. No business can pay a 300% tax. The trucks full of good milk and cheese have no place to go but back. 3. A farmer's sad story. The new trade rules at the border created big problems for American dairy farmers. The impact was felt most in states like Wisconsin and Vermont. These states are famous for their milk and cheese, and their communities depend on the dairy industry. The first problem was storage. The large, cold buildings used to keep milk fresh are now completely full. This is because trucks cannot take the milk to Canada anymore. As a result, the factories that make cheese and bottle milk had to stop working. They had no space for new products. This created a terrible situation for the farmers. Fresh milk from their farms had nowhere to go. Every morning, farmers had to make a very sad choice. They got fresh milk from their cows, but they could not sell it. They were forced to dump it. They poured thousands of gallons of good, fresh milk onto the ground or into sewers. This was a terrible waste, and it cost the farmers a lot of money they did not have. The financial problems are huge. For many, these farms are small family businesses. Some families have owned their farms for more than 100 years. Now they are facing closure. They have no income, so they cannot pay for their loans, equipment, or even their homes. Reports showed that nearly 1,700 small dairy farms could be forced to close forever. Driving through these states, you can see the sadness. There are many empty barns with old family names on them. The cows are gone. The people are gone. It is more than just losing a job. Farmers are losing their homes and their family history. They feel like they have been abandoned. They do not hear about their problems on television. It feels like the government policymakers are not listening. One farmer said he was very surprised because there was no warning. Now he can only watch as his life's work is destroyed. Farmers feel unheard and alone, watching their farms die in silence. 5. What Americans eat now. In American supermarkets, you can see big, bright signs. They say 50% off on packages of cheese. For many people, this looks like a great deal. Families and older people with less money are happy to buy it. It helps them save money when the prices for other things are high. But there is a secret about this cheese. This cheese has a long story. It was put on trucks and sent to other countries, like Canada. But those countries said no. They rejected the cheese and sent the trucks back to the United States. In just a few months, about 18,000 tons of dairy products were returned. They could not be sold to Europe or Asia because of new rules or high taxes. So what happens to all this cheese? It sits in large, cold storage buildings. After some time, workers put new labels on the packages. Then the cheese is sent to American supermarkets. It is sold as a special summer bargain. The companies do not tell customers this story. The labels do not say the cheese was rejected by other countries. There is no warning. This creates a serious problem. People think they are getting a good deal, but they are buying products that failed in the world market. For people who need to save money, cheap cheese seems like a lucky thing, but no one tells them the real reason it is so cheap. People are not given all the information to make a good choice. This is not fair to them. This is a problem of trust. When you buy food, you want to know it is good and safe. But now, some people are starting to ask questions. They see the low prices and wonder, why is this cheese so cheap? They worry about the quality. They are not sure if they can trust what they eat. People are eating the food that the rest of the world refused. This is a difficult situation for everyone. It makes people lose their ability to choose and control their own meals. 5. Canada's secret plan. Canada has a different way of managing its dairy industry. It is not really a secret, but it is very different from the system in the United States. This method is called supply management. It started a long time ago, in the 1970s. The plan helps Canadian farmers avoid the big problems that American farmers often have, like producing too much milk or getting very low prices. The system works to keep everything stable. Supply management controls how much milk each farm can produce. This stops farmers from making more milk than people can buy. It also limits how much dairy can come into Canada from other countries. Because of this, prices for milk stay steady. They do not go up or down very much. This helps farmers know how much money they will make. They do not have to worry about their farms closing. No milk is dumped and no cheese is returned because there is too much. High quality is another important part of Canada's plan. The country has very strict rules for its dairy. For example, it is forbidden to use the growth hormone RBST in cows. There are also strict controls on antibiotics. If products from other countries do not meet these high standards, they are not allowed in. Because of these rules, people in Canada trust the milk and cheese they buy. They know it is safe and clean. This is a big contrast to the United States. The U.S. system focuses on producing very large amounts of milk. This is called high-volume production. The rules about things like growth hormones are not as strict. The American way is to produce a lot first and then try to find customers. Canada's plan is different. They choose stability and quality over quantity. They believe their farmers are very important for the country's food security. This careful plan is why Canada's dairy market is so strong and trusted. 6. The world says no. The problem for American dairy was not only at the Canadian border. Soon, it felt like the whole world was saying no to American milk. The problem was spreading across 3 continents. American milk and cheese were no longer welcome in many places. In Europe, countries in the European Union, EU, put new high taxes on U.S. dairy products. These were retaliatory tariffs. This means the UA added the tax because the US first put taxes on European goods. It was like a trade fight, and American farmers were in the middle. The high taxes made it impossible to sell American cheese and milk in Europe. The orders from Europe stopped. Japan and Australia did something different. They had free trade agreements with the US, but they started to worry about quality. These countries made their food safety rules stronger for American products. They did not want milk from cows that were given growth hormones like RBST. They did not ban U.S. milk, but they made it very difficult to sell. They checked every shipment very carefully. If a product did not meet their high standards, they rejected it. The real reason for these problems was trust. International buyers did not trust the quality of U.S. dairy anymore. They wanted food that was safe and clean. They did not want to buy products that were not allowed in their own countries. So they simply stopped placing orders. The United States was once a top milk exporter. It sold about 18% of all exported milk in the world. But by the middle of 2025, that number fell below 9%. This created a vicious cycle. Farmers produced a lot of milk, but they could not sell it outside the country. This led to lower prices and full storage. To sell the extra milk, some thought about reducing quality. But lower quality only made more countries say no. The American dairy industry was losing its place in the world market. 7. A lost trust. The biggest problem for the American dairy industry was not about money or sales. The core issue was a lost trust. This was the most difficult challenge to fix because trust is hard to earn back. First, international buyers no longer trusted American dairy products. Important partners in Europe, Japan, and even next-door Canada stopped placing orders for milk and cheese. These countries have very strict rules about food quality and animal welfare. They do not allow certain growth hormones and want to know exactly where their food comes from. They did not believe American products met their high standards. So they quietly stopped buying, creating a cold silence in the trade world. This showed a deep lack of trust from the global market. Now, this same feeling of doubt is spreading to consumers inside America. People shopping in supermarkets see American cheese with large discount labels, sometimes 50% off. They start to ask important questions they never asked before. Why is this product so cheap? Why is the production date unclear? They begin to learn that this is the same cheese that other countries refuse to buy. This new knowledge makes American families worry about the food they eat every day. They feel confused and are not sure what is safe anymore. There is a large disconnect. The government says its products are good, but the world rejects them. A nation's strength is not just measured by its powerful economy. It is also measured by how much its own citizens trust the food on their dinner tables. When people start to doubt the quality of food made in their own country, the nation's entire reputation is at risk. And trust, once it is broken, cannot be easily fixed with low prices or special sales. 8. A new way forward. The American dairy industry faces a serious crisis. Trust is low, and exports have fallen. Farmers are suffering, and consumers are worried. But this is a chance to build a better future. The solution is not just about selling things for a low price. It must be a new plan based on trust, quality, and being honest. First, the industry needs more transparency. People want to know about the food they eat. Companies can help by putting clear information on labels. For example, labels should say if products have growth hormones. When people have clear information, they can trust the products they buy. This trust helps create a strong and lasting market, both at home and in other countries. Second, the U.S. can look at other systems, like in Canada. Canada has a production management system. This system helps control how much milk is produced. It stops farmers from making too much milk that they cannot sell. This keeps prices stable and protects farmers. The U.S. does not need to copy this system exactly, but a more flexible plan could prevent waste and help farmers avoid financial problems. It is also important to invest in quality again. This means supporting clean and safe ways to produce milk. The label "Made in the USA" should be a sign of high quality, not a sign of a discount. We must also listen to the people who are suffering the most, small farmers and their families. They are the heart of America's food system. Government help needs to be simple and easy for them to get. A strong country protects its farmers. The story of milk is a lesson for the whole nation. It shows that real strength comes from quality and trust. To move forward, America must protect its farmers and be honest with its people. What do you think is the most important step for the U.S. dairy industry to take next?
Hey there! Just a second before you go. If you learned something new today, please give this video a like, write your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel. It only takes a second, and it really, really helps to create even better English videos for you. Your support means the world. Thank you.